Hey guys, this is Taylor Swift. All right, today is our last day together, and the final fan question is from Shannon Brado from Rochester, New York, and she says, Taylor, you're my role model and always will be. What do you have to say to us girls who look up to you? That is so sweet. Thank you. You know, being a role model is one of the coolest things. I mean, I really, really do love it when, you know, people come up to me and say that a song has really moved them or helped them in some way. I love that because I was that girl. I had role models that I looked up to, and I know how beneficial it can be to your life if you find a song that can, you know, really say what you're thinking in a way that you thought you couldn't say. And what I have to say to those girls is thank you. That is the coolest thing, that I've become a role model to people. I really just love it. It's so cool. And, you know, I know how tough it is to become a role model to people because, you know, it's a pretty tough criteria. I'm a 17-year-old girl, and, you know, you're really tough with your music choices. I mean, you don't just listen to anything. It's got to be good. You've got to believe it because, you know, people see through stuff, and you can tell if something's honest and when something's not. So all I have to say is thank you from the bottom of my heart, and please, please always be there for me because I'll always be there for you. That was a really good question. It's been great spending time with you guys and answering your questions. They've been amazing questions. Thank you, Shannon, for the last question of the day. And I will hopefully see you guys sometime out on the road. Come to one of my shows, and I'll be glad to meet you. This is Taylor Swift checking out. Hey, this is Taylor Swift, and I'm here with GAC answering the questions of the day. Our today's question comes from Mandy Mitchell from Boise, Idaho, and she says, have you ever been deeply in love? And I really don't think so. I've been in relationships, and, you know, I thought I was in love, I think. But, you know, for me, I've never had a love for anything that was enough to make me stop thinking about music, you know? Like, for me, I've been, like, you know, I don't know. I've been in relationships, but there was always something that I needed more. It never filled a void. It never filled something that I felt like I was missing. And, you know, music is the only thing that could do that. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm un-datable right now, but I've just been going through this really, really independent phase where I haven't been interested in dating at all. So, for me, you know, touring is kind of my life right now. Thanks for your question, Mandy. I'll be answering another one of the questions from fans tomorrow. Exactly what we go through, you know, trying to find songs. Hey, this is Taylor Swift with GAC Questions of the Day. And today's question comes from Shiloh Adams of Islam, Kentucky. And her question is, what are the pros and cons of being a teenager in the country music industry? And that's a really good question because there are a lot of both. The pros of being a teenager in the country music industry is because I feel like people my age haven't really had anyone in country music, or haven't had a lot of people in country music that can speak directly to them. You know, I've been there. I've been a country music fan, and I've been 17. So I know exactly what we go through, you know, trying to find songs to be able to relate to. And I'll be the first to stand up and say, look, I'm 17, I've never been married or had a kid, and I can't as much relate to the songs that are about that as I can to, you know, songs that are about things I've gone through. I think that's why so many young people listen to pop music, is because, you know, younger people in pop music sing about younger things. The cons of being a teenager in the country music industry is that, you know, you get some people that will talk down to you like you don't know what you're doing. And you get some people that will ask questions like, so how do you feel about, you know, your rise to the top being so quick and, you know, you being so young? Do you feel like, you know, what do you have to say to country music? What could you possibly have to say? You're only 17. I hate the phrase, you're only 17. It's a horrible, horrible phrase, and nobody should ever say it anymore. At least not with the undertones of, you know, how could you possibly know? Because, you know, if anyone's been paying attention to what's been happening, I mean, obviously there is a place for somebody young to be in country music. And I feel like, you know, I think people should never, ever put an age limit on what someone can accomplish. And, you know, my parents, ever since the day I was born, have empowered me and always really, you know, there's two ways to look at it, you know, when you're raising kids. You can either say, you know, oh, you can do whatever you want to be, and then there's my parents actually believed it. And so, when you get around people who don't believe that you can do whatever you want at whatever age you want, it gets a little frustrating. But I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons in this situation, and you try not to listen to the people who are negative, because negative energy is not cool. But it's been really good answering your question. I'm glad you addressed it, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow with another question of the day. Hey, this is Taylor Swift with GAC Fan Questions, and the next question comes from Victoria Adamson from Tucson, Arizona. And her question is, I am 12 years old, and I've been taking voice lessons for a little while. I've been singing ever since I was a baby. My dream is to be a young singer like you are. What is your advice on trying to start out? Where should I start and when? And this is a really cool question because I started singing really young, too. I started performing and going to festivals and fairs and bars and karaoke contests ever since I was about 9 or 10. So that's when I started doing that, and came to Nashville for the first time with my little demo karaoke CD, and walked into every major record label and was like, hey, I'm Taylor, I'm 11, I want a record deal, that sort of thing. And I think at that point I realized that there are girls in Nashville, thousands of them, that are gorgeous and have amazing voices and pretty much sing me off a cliff, and I had to figure out a way to stand out. So for me, I picked up a guitar and started to write songs and play my own music. And I figured, if I can walk into a room and I can play my own guitar and I can sing songs that I've written, they can't touch that. I literally can just not depend on anybody creatively, and that's exactly what I did. And, nobody makes it the same way. There are hundreds of country artists, and I can pretty much vouch for the fact that nobody makes it the same way. It's always different. But the way that I made it was I was a songwriter first. And I moved to Nashville and got a publishing deal with Sony. So I was a paid songwriter before I was a singer, with a record deal. So I guess, my advice is to just figure out who you are as an artist and what you bring. If you sound just like another artist, that's not what you're looking for. You need to sound exactly like you. Great question. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow with another GAC question of the day. Hey, this is Taylor Swift, and we've got questions that people have sent in to GAC, and I'm going to be answering each and every one of them for you. This question is from Sarah Jane Ryan from Nashville, Tennessee, right where I live, actually. Her question is, what are your must-have items when you travel? And some of my must-have items are makeup. I love makeup. I don't really, it's not that I absolutely need it, but I really like it. I think it's fun. It's like art class. Also, what I want on the road, I like my cell phone, just because I like keeping in touch with people. And I always have to be, knowing exactly what's going on with my career at that moment. So I'm always bothering my record label, calling them, being like, hey, so what are we doing today? What's for the day? What are we working on? I'm really annoying. And also calling I love keeping in touch with my friends. I have an iPod that I always take with me on the road. Let's see, what else do I really take on the road a lot? I have these boots that have skulls on them, like skulls, and then they have a pink bow on the top of the skull. They're really cute. They're Liberty boots. I always take them everywhere with me when I travel. So Sarah Jane, thank you so much. It's been a good question, and I'll have another question for you guys tomorrow. Check it out. This is Taylor Swift with GAC Questions of the Day, and Pat Monroe from Lexington, North Carolina says, what's the most common argument you have with your parents? Okay, this is going to sound horrible, but the only really argument that I have with my mom is temperature on the bus. Temperature on the tour bus. She likes it freezing, and I don't. I like the bus really, really, really hot. And so usually, turn the temperature all the way down to 65 and be like, Taylor, you got to stop turning it up. And I'll be like, okay, Mom. And then she'll walk away and I'll turn it back to 80. And then she'll come back and be like, Taylor! And so those are the only really arguments we ever get in. My mom and I really get along, and my dad and I get along really well. So it's gotten to the point where really all we argue about is stupid stuff. So that's a really good question, Pat, and I'll have another question for you guys tomorrow.